So we'll be having this salad tonight.
What?
You got grass?
And that's yummy.
And it's yummy?
I want to eat.
What's going on, everybody? Thank you guys for tuning in to the Superhuman Garden YouTube channel. So today I'm going to be giving you tips on how to grow big, beautiful lettuce. That's right, big, beautiful lettuce. But before we get into that, let's take a look at the lettuce that we have growing right now. So just below, you can see that the lettuce we have, and we've been growing this lettuce since February, right? So right now we are in the middle of April, and we're off to a pretty good start when it comes to growing our lettuce. Now, first things first, I want you to do your research, and I want you to research what types of lettuce is good for growing in your particular region, and what time of the year is best to grow. Now, what you need to know is there's different types of lettuce. There's lettuce that are good for growing in the summer. There's lettuce good for growing in winter, spring, and fall, right, in the cooler seasons. Now, for me, I find that the cooler season lettuces taste a little bit better because once that frost hits it, it's going to have a better taste, right? So that's one of the first tips I have is knowing what lettuce grows good for you and where, which leads me to another tip. I like to grow my lettuce in buckets, like I said, and I like to control where I position my lettuce, and I'm gonna tell you why. So, for example, I'm in grow zone 5B. Now, this week we felt 30 degrees, and now today we felt 80 degrees. Now, what happens is usually with this type of lettuce here, which is the romaine hybrid, you're looking at about 72 degrees is going to kind of be your max before this lettuce, at least where I am, is going to start to think about bolting in direct sunlight. So what I've done is I brought my buckets over in the shade. It's going to get about 2 to 3 hours of sunlight in the morning while it's still in the 50s. And then by the time it heats up, because I have a southward facing window in the back of my yard, which is where my backyard is the south as well, what's going to happen is the peak of the heat is not going to really impact the lettuce much. Now, when you start going past 80, now you're looking at a problem even in the shade as well. So if that happens, then I may have to move my lettuce over to the garage or somewhere indoors. That way it gets that cool air that it needs to really thrive. So really pay attention to where you're planting your lettuce, know your grow zones, know which types of lettuces to grow where you are, okay? Another thing that I would like to say about lettuce is you can intercrop them with spinach, right? You can intercrop them with spinach, you can intercrop them with your root crops like carrots, what else? You know, turnips. They do well growing together with turnips. They also do well growing with radishes, right? So I'm really a person that's really over the last few years have learned to really grow things with only the space that they actually need to really grow. Now when it comes to like collards and cabbage, you guys know those are my favorites. I like to grow those really big and healthy. So those are really the only bit of produce that I really just spread out like that. So that's for an example. Now, I only have 3 lettuce plants in this big 5-gallon bucket here. And so once I snip the leaves off, guess what? In a couple of days, more leaves will be popping up on the lettuce, right? So that's another tip. So as long as the lettuce doesn't bolt and go to seed, you can keep cutting them and letting them keep giving you more and more food, okay? So this is why it's important that you put your lettuce in buckets. That way when it's too hot, you can bring them indoors, and that way your lettuce will keep growing. Now, let's talk about fertilizing your lettuce. Now, fertilizing the lettuce, it doesn't require you to do it a lot. So for me, it's just a one-stop shop. You know, after the lettuce is about, 2 to 3 weeks, I'll give it a little fertilizer, and then they're off to the races. And that's just to get the roots really established. And that's because I know that it's a possibility that my lettuce can have a short growing season if I don't move the lettuce in the time that it needs to be moved before it starts to get hot, right? And basically, if you have Miracle Grow, give it a little bit of Miracle Grow just one time after it's a few weeks old, and you're off to the races. If you really want to get the most out of them, you want to do something like the fish fertilizer, something like that, or really get the roots going. You'll have really nice lettuce that'll just keep growing and growing and growing for you. Okay, so that's another tip. Now, speaking of root development, in this particular pot, this is what I have in here. So at the bottom, I just have old leaves, okay? And then right above the old leaves, I have a lot of grass, because grass clippings is going to give your lettuce the nitrogen that it's going to need once the roots are established enough to really take in what it needs, okay? And then above the grass, I have a little bit of peat moss, just so that the roots can really spread out. And then all the way at the top, I have potting soil in my bucket, okay? And so that's going to give you everything you need to really get your lettuce going. Now, I know a lot of you may do other things for your lettuce, and you guys got to figure out what works for you. I've learned that having some grass in there really helps the lettuce get established for me and where I am. But I love to hear what you guys do for your lettuce. If you're somewhere like Florida, what kind of lettuce are you growing? If you're in Kentucky, what lettuce are you growing? Do you stick with, your icebergs, your romaines? Do you do a little bit of blend? What kind of lettuce are you guys growing where you are? I'd be interested to hear in the comments, or read what you have in the comment section as far as what lettuce you're growing according to where you are. I've tried like the butter crunches. Those do okay, but once it really starts to heat up here, it just doesn't do good. So like I said, the romaine lettuces seem to do a little bit better, at least from my experience where I am. If you're in grow zone 5, 6, or 7, or even 4, 3, wherever you are, what lettuces are you guys growing too? Which ones are tasting the best according to where you are? I'd love to read what you guys have in the comment section below. Hopefully you guys got some out of this video. Till next time, signing out. Peace.